I am the Knight. I am Batman.
Hey, what's going on, my truckers and soon-to-be truckers? It is the Be More Dark Knight coming at you. And today I'm going to talk about endorsements. So I just went to, or just a couple days ago, I went over to the PennDOT, or the DMV and PA, and I picked up my tanker and HAZMAT endorsements. So I'm going to talk to you about that process. So let's first talk about the tanker endorsement. So the tanker endorsement was very simple. I used the CDL Prep app to study for it. I went online and did some of the online tests for the PA DMV or PennDOT, and then I went in and took the test, just like I did for HAZMAT. HAZMAT's a little different, so I'll talk about that process in a little bit. So I took my HAZMAT, or my tanker endorsement. I think that was 20 questions. A lot of the questions did come from the CDL Prep app. There were a few that were not from there, so that's why I'm encouraging you to go on to your state's DMV website to see if they have any practice tests, or just Google any practice tests for your specific state and take those. As you may run into some questions again that are not on the CDL Prep app, and also use your state's driving manual when it comes to HAZMAT or tankers if it's available. So the second endorsement that I took was the HAZMAT endorsement. Now that's a little bit more involved, but it's not complicated. So the first thing is for all my Pennsylvania residents that are thinking about getting your HAZMAT endorsement. I went on to the PennDOT website and got the form DL, D as in David, L as in Lima, -288 form. And that is your application to take your HAZMAT endorsement. So did all that, filled out all the information. Make sure you fill out all the blocks completely. If there's NA, make sure you put in NA. Fill it out completely. Go to your DMV or PennDOT and take the HAZMAT test. Now that was 30 questions. And of course, with anything else, you have to get at least 80% right. And for my PennDOTers, once you hit the 80%, once you got 80% correct, the test stops. So don't think that, you know, if it cuts off, make sure you read that screen. As long as you got the green letter saying pass, you're good to go. You'll be issued a permit, another CDL permit per se. But for the tankers, for your tanker endorsement, what will happen is they'll cut you a new license, and they'll automatically have the tanker endorsement on it. Now, the new license was, I think it was like $34 and some change. And the only reason it was that is because when I went to pick up my CDL without the endorsements on it initially, they told me it wasn't there. I go back 2 days later and I'm looking for my license, and they look it up in the system, and they said, oh, we mailed it out 2 days ago. And I think what happened was that morning it wasn't in the system because it was a holiday. And then, you know, a couple hours later, the system updated and it just automatically kicked it out. So no problem. I needed it because I'm still waiting on my Mentor truck. And so I paid the $34 so I could walk out with it in hand, and I could call my driver manager and say, hey, I got it. Now I'm just waiting on you to do your job. So immediately walked out with my CDL and my tanker endorsement. Now, the reason you don't walk out with your HAZMAT endorsement is very simple. So one, your HAZMAT endorsement, I believe, is about $30 some odd for that too. So that'll be on that little CDL permit that you'll get, and it'll tell you what day that you took the test and you passed it and all that good stuff, and it'll have a little DOT code on it. And then what you need to do is once you pay that, Then your administrator will give you another set of instructions that tells you, hey, you need to go to a certain website, or you need to go and call this 1-866 number to set up an appointment. And you got to do your fingerprints. You have to do a background investigation, and it'll take up to 6 months for it to come back. Now, I've worked in the world of investigations before with fingerprints and security clearances, and I can tell you from experience that, if you don't have a criminal history, the investigation will take a lot less than 6 months. If you do have some things that are questionable on your record, it may take all the way up to 6 months. So just be aware of that. That process is going to happen. And what they do, that 1-800 or 1-866 number, or the website that you go to, they will set you up with the appointment with an approved facility to do your fingerprints. Now, for me, it was just a place that was literally 3 minutes down the street from me, and it was in a notary building. So I walked in. There was one person ahead of me, and I wasn't even in there from the time I walked in. I walked out maybe 10 minutes later. Paid my fee. The fee was like $22.50, I believe, for the fingerprints, and you pay that through credit card. I think that's the only way they take it. Credit card, maybe money order, but I'm sure they don't take checks. Now, when you do your endorsement for tankers, when you're at, and I'm speaking for my pen dotters, when you take your test for HAZMAT at the pen dot, make sure that you have a money order with you. I don't believe they take checks, and they don't take credit cards just for that specific for that specific test. So for HAZMAT, make sure you have a money order. I know the pen dot on Lancaster Avenue, you can go right next door. There's a notary right there, and they already have it ready. So all you got to do is go in and swipe your credit card, or have them $34 cash. I'm sorry, not cash, or not credit card. You had them $34 cash, and they already have their system set. So they must have been doing this with other people trying to get their HAZMAT endorsement. You pay them the $34. You walk back over. You hand the gentleman your $34 money order. He'll put his information on there, and then you just sign it, turn it over to them, and you're good to go. So again, for my pen dotters, it's the DL form 288. You can go on the PennDOT's website and look under the driver's license services for CDLs, and you can see what you need for your CDL. Now, your background investigation will not start until you have your fingerprints done. So the day that you get your fingerprints done is when your investigation is done. It will start. So I actually remember a guy walking into the PennDOT and said he already did his fingerprints. So, hey, if that's what you do, you already got your fingerprints running, then you're good to go. So I don't think there's really a big order on what you need to do. But just remember, the longer you take to get your fingerprints done, the longer it's going to take for that HAZMAT endorsement to get back. Now, what will happen once the HAZMAT endorsement comes back, and I can only speak for PennDOT, other states, you got to work within the rules of your specific state. What will happen is they will mail you a new CDL with your endorsements on it. So for me, once my investigation comes back, I will get a new CDL that will not only have the tanker endorsement on it, but it will also have the HAZMAT endorsement on it. Now, for those of you who are going for your CDL, your initial CDL permit, I would go for as many endorsements as you can get. Just go for them. Now, the way that they explained to me in PA is if you go to get your endorsements while you still have your permit, and you're adding and adding and adding things to it, it could possibly wipe out your permit. I don't see how it could, but that's what they said, and that's what I rode with. So what they did for me, They told me to wait to pick up my CDL. And when I came back, once they printed off my CDL, then that wiped out the permit. Then I went and did all my endorsements. They printed off another CDL for me that had the tanker endorsement on it. And then they said, once your HAZMAT background investigation comes, then they will mail me another CDL, which again will have the tanker and the HAZMAT endorsement on it. So that's it in a nutshell. I know every state is different, so just follow your state's policies and look on their websites to see what you need to complete your endorsements and to get your initial CDL. But again, I'll reiterate, CDL Prep app is what I studied on. Go to your Google your state's practice tests and do those to make sure that you're, if any questions that don't show up on the CDL Prep app, you'll be covered underneath those practice tests. And just go and pay your fee and knock it out. It's too easy. All right, so with that, I am the Be More Dark Knight. Y'all be safe out there, and I will talk to y'all later.